Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for the Super Bowl. For the Super Bowl on Sunday between the Chiefs and the Eagles. I'm going to give out a couple plays in this video, actually going to give out 3 picks. Normally just give out like 2 picks in these YouTube videos, but since it is the Super Bowl and since we have so many different props to choose from, so many different categories, wanted to expand a little bit, try and find a few more plays I like. So going to share 3 picks in this video, guys. Now, before we do talk through these 3 plays, as always, if you guys do enjoy these Prizepicks videos and if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you have never checked out Prizepicks before, you can sign up with my promo code NOAH. If you do look at the bottom of the screen, when you sign up with promo code NOAH, Prizepicks will match your first deposit up to $100. And for those of you that have never heard about Prizepicks, they're a player prop site. So it's really simple, really easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. And they have a free square available right now for this game. It is available until midnight on Saturday night. So I'm recording this video around 7 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday night. As you can see, there is about 5 hours left until this free square goes away. So you'll have about around the time I upload this video, you'll have like 5 hours to get this this free square in. Patrick Mahomes passing yards is set at 0.5, so that's a free pick that Prizepicks is giving you. Take that, take the over, and then just find any other picks you like to pair with that. You can just pair 1 pick with that play, make a 2-pick entry, or you can pair up to 5 picks with the free square, make a 6-pick entry, potentially win 25x your money. So if you like to go for those higher payouts, you can make a 6-pick entry. If you want to just go for like a 2-pick, you can potentially triple up your money. So definitely take advantage of that free square. Make sure to get it in before it does go away at midnight on Saturday night. And also Prizepicks today, at least on Saturday, they've been running like a lot of discounted projections today. They've had a couple discounts in terms of they had Travis Kelce's receiving yards discounted, like his first half receiving yards. For some reason the projections just went away. There they are. So yeah, they have AJ Brown's first half receiving yards discounted right now, and this is available until 9 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday. They also had Jalen Hurts rushing yards discounted. So they all the time do these kind of flash sales, these discounts. They've done a couple on Saturday today. Hopefully you guys were able to get those in. But definitely take advantage of these discounts, the free squares, all these promotions Prizepicks is giving you. Make sure that if you guys are not signed up for Prizepicks yet, use that promo code NOAH. When you sign up, get your first deposit match up to $100. But let's talk through it, man. Let's talk through the Super Bowl. Let's talk through a couple player props I do like. So the first prop that I like is actually, it's going to be a Patrick Mahomes prop. So for those of you that are new, you can't, on Prizepicks, you can't like have the same player in an entry multiple times. So if you haven't used the free square yet, then just use the free square. But if you've already used the free square, another Patrick Mahomes prop that I do like is actually going to be the over on his passer rating. So this is kind of a new stat. I don't think I've seen passer rating available on Prizepicks like all season. I mean, Prizepicks, they added like a ton of categories. Like a lot of these categories weren't weren't available during the regular season, during the playoffs, but they, for the Super Bowl, they like to expand, give people a lot of options. So Patrick Mahomes passer rating is set at 100.5. And I do like him to go over this line. This is a line that Patrick Mahomes has actually gone over now in, I think, 6 straight games or 7 straight games, I believe. So against Cincinnati last week in the playoffs, he had a 105.4 passer rating. Against the Jaguars, he had a 112.5 passer rating. Against the Raiders, 105. Against Denver, 106.1. Against Seattle, 106.8. And against Houston, 117.1. So he's had over a 100.5 passer rating in 6 straight games. And I know, like, passer rating, it's not a category or it's not a stat that I'm really able to, it's hard to explain. You can actually, Google, how is passer rating calculated, but it kind of factors in, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, and stuff like that. And Mahomes is a very high efficient quarterback. He's not a guy, typically, I would say, that's going to throw, 2 or 3 interceptions. Normally, he's going to throw 200, 250 yards, multiple touchdowns, maybe 1 pick. But you look, he's gone over this line in 6 straight games. But take a look at his fantasy score. Look at his fantasy score. Some of these games lately, he's not even had great games. Last week against Cincy, he didn't even hit his fantasy score, but he went over his passer rating. The ones that really stand out, the two games against the Jaguars and Raiders. So against Jacksonville, he threw for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he had a 112.5 passer rating in that game just because he was so efficient. He completed 73% of his passes. He didn't have any interceptions. And then against the Raiders, he only threw for 202 yards and 1 touchdown, but he had a 105 passer rating in that game. He completed 69% of his passes. Nice. And then he didn't throw any interceptions. So he's been doing a really good job, not turning the ball over. His touchdown to interception ratio is really, really good, and his completion percentage is really good as well. And that's something that Mahomes has usually been very good at throughout his career. He's never a guy that's like, although he does have a very strong arm, it seems like a lot this season they've been letting Mahomes kind of like check it down a lot of shorter passes, a lot of screens and stuff like that, slants, quick routes. It doesn't seem like he's throwing the ball like deep down the field a ton this season, at least in the games that I've watched. So that's why his passer rating has been so good lately. He's hit this line in 6 straight games. So that's why I do like his passer rating here. Even if Mahomes doesn't throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns, he doesn't have to do that. It's just he's got to be efficient with his completing passes, which he's been very good at lately, completing at least 67% of his passes in 5 out of his last 6 games. Even the game against Seattle, he only completed 57% of his passes, but he threw for 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had a 106.8 passer rating. So yeah, I'm going to ride the trend here with Mahomes. His passer rating has been great lately, over in 6 straight games. Give me the over here on that as our first prop for today. Again, mention this one more time. You can't put Mahomes in an entry twice. So if you guys have not used the free square yet, just use the free square instead of the passer rating. But if you've already used the free square and you want another Mahomes prop to play, that's one that I do like. But then another prop I like, a couple fantasy score props. So I want to talk about Jalen Hurts. His fantasy score line sits at 23. And I also like the over here for Jalen Hurts. This is a pretty good spot for Jalen Hurts going up against the Chiefs. This is a game that I think should be high scoring now. I know in the Super Bowl, it's so people love to bet overs in the Super Bowl just because it's a lot more fun to root for the game to be high scoring than it is to root for stuff to not happen. But I know historically unders have actually been very sharp. Just blindly betting unders in the Super Bowl, actually you probably be more profitable doing that. But I think this is a game that should be high scoring because you look at these two offenses, the Eagles and the Chiefs. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Eagles led the league in points per game, or the Chiefs led the league in points per game, and the Eagles were third. I want to check, just confirm, but I did pull it up before I started recording. Yeah, so Kansas City was first in points per game this season, and Philly was third. These are two teams that can put points on the board. These are two explosive offenses. And this is a pretty good matchup for Jalen Hurts. If you look at the Chiefs this season and where they rank in terms of fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, they're giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to the quarterback position this season. And we know Jalen Hurts is a very explosive runner. He's a guy that can do everything. He doesn't have to have a great passing game to go over this fantasy score line. And for example, I wouldn't take the over on Jalen Hurts passer rating just because I think he could have a big game. He could put up 30 fantasy points while not having a great passing game because he can he can run for 50, 60, 70 yards. They love to use him as a runner in the red zone and near the goal line. They like to run a lot of read options for him. So there's just so many ways for Jalen Hurts to go over 23 fantasy score, whether he does it in the air, through the ground, or a little bit of both. And I think the matchup's pretty good against Kansas City's defense. They've given up a lot of fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. I think this is a game that should be high scoring. Again, it seems like a lot of these Super Bowls, sometimes they're not as high scoring as we expect them to be, but given these two explosive offenses, this should be a high scoring game. So give me the over on 23 fantasy score for Jalen Hurts. If you're new to Prizepicks and you're not familiar with fantasy score and what it is, it's basically if you've ever played fantasy football before, it's basically the scoring system that most fantasy football leagues use. You get 0.04 points or 0.04 points for every yard, every passing yard. You get 4 points per touchdown. You lose a point for interception. It's pretty much the same scoring system that a normal fantasy football league uses. So that's the second pick I do like is Jalen Hurts more than 23 fantasy score. And then the third and final pick, I like another fantasy score prop. People probably not going to like this one, but Juju Smith-Schuster, you look over his last 5 games, he's gone under this fantasy score line in 5 straight. So, again, people probably won't like this one, but I'm actually going to be taking Juju to go over 7.5 fantasy score. And let's take a look at some of his props kind of across the board this week. So his receiving yards is set at 35.5. His receptions is set at 3.5. On Prizepicks, again, if you're unaware with fantasy score, you do get a point per reception. So, four receptions, that's 4 points, and then 35 yards, that's 3.5 points. So basically, he's projected you add up his receptions plus his receiving yards, that's around close to it's about 7.5 fantasy score, and that's not even factoring in the potential for Juju to catch a touchdown, for the potential of him maybe getting a 2-point conversion. I mean, if he catches a 2-point conversion, that's 2 points. Maybe they give him a end around or a carry, and he could get some rushing yards. There's a lot of ways for Juju to go over the 7.5 fantasy score, and I know he's not had really any good games lately, but he's kind of been banged up a lot this season. He's been on the injury report a lot. They took him off the injury report this week. He got full practices in all week. So with him getting in full practice, not on the injury report, I think Juju should be back to playing his normal role. And normally when he's fully healthy, he plays about 75 to 80% of the snaps. He's kind of been their number one wide receiver this season when he's been healthy. It's kind of been it's been a roulette at the wide receiver position for the Chiefs. 1 week, Marquez Valdes-Scantling will have a good game. 1 week it'll be Juju. 1 week it'll be Tony. Usually Kelsey is pretty consistent. You can expect Kelsey to put up good numbers every week. But I feel like this could definitely be a good Juju game. You look at the Eagles defense and their corners. Darius Slay is a really good corner. James Bradbury, really good corner. Those guys mainly stay on the outside. They don't really go to the slot a ton. And Juju can play a lot out of the slot. And I think a lot of his where he's lined up most this season has been in the slot. So he should definitely get the plus matchup playing in the slot. Whereas I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling playing outside is going to run into a tougher spot against Darius Slay and James Bradbury. So that's another reason I like this fantasy score. I kind of like a lot of Juju's props this week, his receptions, his receiving yards, and the fantasy score. But fantasy score for one, it just kind of puts everything together. Juju, if he catches a touchdown, he's almost certainly going to go over this fantasy score. If he catches a 5-yard touchdown, that's 7.5 fantasy points. So if he gets into the end zone, obviously we already probably cashed his play, but he could definitely have 4 catches for 40 yards, and that's 8 fantasy points. He could have 3 catches for 50 yards, or 5 catches for 30 yards. But with how they use him, with how he's able to rack up a lot of receptions, he's been kind of a low A-dot receiver this season. He doesn't run a ton of deeper routes. He runs a lot of quicker routes, a lot of quick slants, drag routes, and those balls are usually easier to be caught when you're not running deep down the field. You're right there at the quarterback. We've seen Juju being pretty good with the Chiefs this year. He's really good early on in the season. He's kind of been banged up a lot lately, but he seems to be fully healthy heading into the Super Bowl. Not on the injury report, got full practices in, and I think he draws kind of the best matchup of all the Chiefs receivers this week. Obviously, not including Travis Kelce, but that's what I like is our Super Bowl picks, guys. A couple plays I like, not including the Mahomes free square. We got 3 picks. Patrick Mahomes, more than 100.5 passer rating. Jalen Hurts, more than 23 fantasy score. And Juju Smith-Schuster, more than 7.5 fantasy score. Definitely going to be running these 3 plays together. I'll probably be playing a few more plays for the Super Bowl. Usually I try and find as many plays as I can because I know a lot of people, they love to just bet a ton of props on the Super Bowl. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, we're all going to be watching this game on Sunday. There's no other sports going on at the time besides NFL. So I'll be playing, plenty of props in this one. I'll be sweating the game out and, kind of enjoying it. But hopefully we get a good game. Hopefully it's competitive. Hopefully it's high scoring. I know a lot of the playoff games lately, especially a lot of the Eagles playoff games have been blowouts. The Eagles have just been stomping everybody. I don't think that'll be the case here. I think we'll see a close game. I think we will see a high scoring game as well. If I had to pick who wins, I'm going with the Eagles. I don't have any money on that. I can't legally sports bet where I live, but I think the Eagles do get the Super Bowl win this year. But that'll do it, guys. That'll do it for this video for the Super Bowl 57 between the Eagles and the Chiefs. This should be a fun one, but hope you guys enjoyed this video. Appreciate you watching. As always, make sure you hit that like button down below if you guys enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you're new to Prizepicks and you've never checked out Prizepicks before, you can sign up with my promo code NOAH. Look at the bottom of the screen. When you do sign up with promo code NOAH, Prizepicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Definitely check them out, see all the props they have available, and take advantage of those discounts they're running right now. They have the free square available until midnight on Saturday night. They have these flash sales they've been running all day Saturday. Right now they have A.J. Brown's first half receiving yards discounted to 26.5, so you can play that if you wanted to. That's available until 9 Eastern on Saturday night. But yeah, get over to Prizepicks, guys. Use that code NOAH when you sign up. Get your first deposit matched up to $100. But enjoy the Super Bowl, guys. Enjoy your Sunday. Hopefully we can all win some money in this one, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.